Welcome everyone. My name is Sean, and today I want to talk about all these different migrants that are moving through various airports at the southern border, because unlike many a tale that I brought you on this channel, I actually have first-hand knowledge of this. I've seen this for myself, and I think it is very important for you guys out there in the audience to understand what exactly is going on at our border and what's going on at our nation's airports. But before we get into that, I want to say thank you to everybody who signed up over on actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay.
And thank you to the podcast listeners, Spotify, Apple, Google's podcasting platform. So as many of you guys might be aware, some of you actually saw me in person. I recently attended AmFest, AmericaFest, whatever you want to call it, the year-end event for Turning Point USA, and this event takes place in Arizona. Now, I was with a bunch of content creators, a bunch of people in the media, had a nice time, had an interesting time, saw some sketch moments that I don't exactly want to talk about with you guys out there, but one of the more interesting developments that actually happened from AmFest is that Ashley St. Clair, on her flight back, noticed that a bunch of migrants were boarding with priority boarding on Delta flights to places like JFK Airport.
I'm at the Phoenix Airport right now. I'm waiting to board my flight to New York, to JFK, and it looks like we have a whole lot of migrants who are also boarding this flight that the U.S. taxpayers are paying for. This is what the U.S. taxpayers are paying for right here. Premium seats on Delta that they have people coming here. We're paying for this, shipping them out to New York City because guess what? Everywhere else is at capacity. So they have these sanctuary cities like New York that they're now shipping these migrants to that we're all paying for.
Now this video from Ashley, who's a friend of the channel by the way, I will leave the link to her Twitter and to her original video in the description of this video so you can follow her on social media, hit the nail on the head with this particular issue, and this video went extremely viral. Now she flew out the day before me and a bunch of my friends who also ended up flying out of the same airport, but what she was identifying was not just brown people like a lot of cynical or idiot people were saying in the replies, but it was actually bags and tags and of course folders that are given to people when they are released from a processing center at the southern border. And as somebody who visited the southern border on multiple occasions, and by the way, other people who have visited the southern border know this as well, these people were incredibly easy to recognize, and they of course were being boarded onto these flights, these supposed asylum seekers with absolutely no money, in large groups, bound for JFK, bound for Philadelphia, bound for Chicago, and this is something that is different to a previous story that we covered on this channel, which is of course Republican governors who have no power of deportation sending these migrants across the country to progressive sanctuary cities because they support federal politicians that won't do anything about the border. However, things really got interesting the next day. I was at the airport with a friend of the channel, Nuance Bro, and friend of the channel, Tony, who is the head of the Texas paper of record, Current Revolt, by the way, when we got a tip from Taylor Hanson over at Tenant Media. Follow him on Twitter, follow his Tenant Media thing for all his reports, that there were a bunch of migrants in our very terminal that he spotted. So we actually came over to our gate because we arrived at the airport early in order to see and confront these people ourselves so we could get our own version of the story.
Hey, can you record? Excuse me. Which country?
French.
French?
Not speaking.
Oh, je parlais un petit peu français. Pays, qu'est-ce que pays?
Vous dites?
He's from Guinea.
Vous dites? Notre pays.
Quoi?
He's from Guinea.
Guinea. Okay, and you guys are going where? New York. New York.
I gotta give credit to friend of the channel, Nuance Bro, for going right up to these people, asking them where they're from, and getting incredibly important information related to them, including information about the sloppy documentation that they're able to fly with. And I want you guys out there in the audience to think about what you have to do to fly, which we will compare and contrast to what they have on them that allows them to take various flights to various cities across the country. Now, as far as numbers, even though this was quite a large group, there were other various groups that were in and around there. You can actually find Taylor Hanson interviewing some of them and getting information from them. However, there were a strong contingent of Africans that were present, like these people from Guinea, who, by the way, have the paperwork to show that they did come through a processing center and that they were being aided and abetted by a nonprofit that we'll talk about a little bit later. But again, credit to Nuance Bro. His links will be in the description. I'm sure he will put out a full video on this in the future for confronting these people, for getting this information. And it was very interesting for me to be right there in person and witness this for myself as somebody who only sees these migrants when they're already arrived in a left-wing city, not when they're being shipped out.
The paper, can I see the paper? Les documents. The documents dans this one. Can I see the paper? The paper that you have in the backpack. Can I see the paper? Je suis la média. Oui.
Vous êtes journaliste.
Oui.
Ah, ok.
Can I see the? Merci. Can I see it? Thank you. Merci. Let's see. Can you come here? So, New York, and this is Catholic Community Services of Southern Arizona, and let's see. Merci beaucoup.
So as you can see right there, Nuance Bro is asking them repeatedly to see their papers. He's not pressing them. He's not being too aggressive or anything like that. And one of them turns it over voluntarily to them. And by the way, the reason he's trying to work on his very limited French in order to do this is because this is like the closest language that he's going to be able to get from these people from Guinea, or at least it appeared that this was the closest language that he was going to get, because it actually turns out that one of these people does speak English. However, mum was the word when Nuance Bro first initially reported, but you can actually hear her ask if she can ask him a question, which I will play for you right now.
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
You said you are from
Media.
media.
Yes.
Which media?
I have a YouTube channel, Nuance Bro Media.
YouTube channel.
Nuance
Why
Bro.
is he recording us without our consent?
Well, this is a public area, so we do have, implicit consent because this is a public area. But yeah, we're just documenting the migrant crisis that's happening in the United States. All right, thank you very much.
So as you can see right there, this woman spoke English the entire time. She was pretending that she didn't, and then she asked Nuance Bro a couple of questions, and he answered them truthfully and honestly about the no expectation of privacy in a public place like an airport, and we politely move on from this particular group. Now, interestingly enough, after this actually occurred, a woman came up to me, no joke, overweight woman in an N95 mask. Yes, she was still wearing a mask even though this was just a couple of days ago, and demanded that I explain why Nuance Bro questioned these people and why photos were being taken, according to her, of their documentation. And the funny thing about this is, even though I was present, even though I was right behind the cameraman in this particular instance, is that I neither recorded nor asked these people any questions, as you saw on the video, yet this woman assumed that I was in charge of both Nuance Bro and my friend Tony from Current Revolt. Now, of course, I immediately looked her dead in the face and said, was I taking pictures of them? And she's like, no, it was this person, pointing to my friend Tony. And then she said, but you were with them. And I told her straight up to her face that I had never seen any of those individuals in my life and that she needs to get away from me. And then, of course, I immediately proceeded to walk over and sit next to Nuance Bro and Tony and then discuss what we had just captured on video, because I thought that would be hilarious. Now, there were various other groups, and even though these people actually said they were going to New York, I was actually on that New York flight that was departing from this gate, and I can tell you for for a fact that actually not a lot of African migrants ended up making it on that plane. There were various groups, they were all sitting in and around this gate, and while these people were able to board the plane, other people, and we ended up finding out later from other friends who were flying out, actually ended up boarding flights to Philadelphia. And in fact, there's another video that is widely circulating of somebody who did not get on that New York flight, who was in the same terminal, somebody that I spotted actually entering the women's bathroom, and this video was posted by Current Revolt, the Texas paper of record. Follow them on their social medias, really look into what they're doing. They actually released that tape about Sheila Jackson Lee that may have cost her the mayorship of Houston, so they do excellent work, and that video is as follows. Now look, I don't know exactly why he was going into the women's bathroom. I don't speak the language spoken in Guinea, which I believe is French, or wherever this individual may have been from, but I find it quite interesting that the airport staff doesn't scold him or anything like that. They immediately go in and escort him out, despite the fact that he was displaying wildly inappropriate behavior at this airport, and startled quite a few women before the video was actually started. Now, what's interesting about this is that this actually compounds on a pattern of completely different standards for these migrants versus your everyday citizen, because when we actually look closer at the paperwork that Nuance Bro examined, what we find out is that it's incredibly sloppily filled out. You have destinations that are misspelled, origin countries that are misspelled. The reason why that they're here is a simple check of the box that they have fear of something back in their country, and again, this is how we see people abuse our asylum system over and over and over again. You come to the border, instead of trying to sneak across like years past, you go right up to a border agent, you tell them that you're here seeking asylum. They're all taught these terms, they find this information on the internet, and not only are you given a pass into this country, you're somehow getting a plane ticket that allows you to fly to major cities. And I believe this particular individual, the bathroom guy, ended up in the city of Philadelphia, and I think, and I'm not 100% sure of this based on the Taylor Hanson video, that these people were actually given an address to a shelter located in that very city. Now, of course, when you show this to the public, when you display this for the world to see, when you have irrefutable evidence, you always have people that come out that don't know anything about what they're talking about with their stupid replies, their horrible takes, accusing you of being evil racists, accusing you of targeting people because they're browns or blacks or whatever, as if none of us have ever seen a black person at the airport or a Hispanic person at the airport. In fact, not only am I Hispanic, but Taylor Hanson actually is going with somebody who speaks perfect Spanish so that he could translate with these individuals when they actually speak Spanish. And one of the people who, of course, had to post something incredibly stupid was Jank's nephew, who tweeted the following, quote tweeted, Ashley St. Clair. All caps, by the way. I can't believe that there are migrants on a flight in an airport, question mark, exclamation point, to the point of absurdity. Someone quickly investigate why foreigners can sometimes be in airports. I am so scared. Now, it's hard to tell whether or not Jank's nephew is actually legitimately this stupid and this ignorant, or he's counting on the fact that his audience is this stupid and is this ignorant. Because if you look at the various threads from Ashley, from Nuance Bro, from Taylor Hanson, from Tony, Current Revolt, the Texas paper of record, you will see all of the various reasons from these people who have gone to the border multiple different times that these people stood out as migrants. It's based on the bags that you receive from Border Patrol, it's based on the plastic files that contain their folder, the way that their paperwork is displayed, the tags that are on them that indicate they come from a processing center. But Jank's nephew tries to play it off like we're just saying, oh my god, there's immigrants at the airport, regular ordinary people, foreigners traveling to the United States, and we're freaking out about that based on absolutely nothing. But I'm not freaking out at all about it. I am pointing out to you guys out there in the audience that this is what is happening to these people. They're being flown into all these various places, and Ashley has received a number of tips from Delta pilots and other pilots from other airlines. By the way, both the videos from Nuance Bro and from the Current Revolt Twitter accounts actually come from an American Airlines terminal, and this is something that we're discovering is happening over and over again, and we have documentation, witnesses, and video that shows them going through different security, skipping skipping the line, getting on these flights with priority boarding, despite the fact that a lot of these people have very sketchy identification, and a lot of pilots are saying that they absolutely have no idea about who is flying on these planes. Now look, while normally I just try to give you guys the information, I try to share stuff with you that you don't know, what I actually would love is for other citizen journalists who happen to be flying from these border states to document this phenomenon for yourself. Go up to people in the same way that Nuance Pro did, polite, courteous, don't lie to these individuals or anything like that, don't misrepresent yourself as an authority, and most of them will turn over their documentation voluntarily. You can document that, show us what organizations are bringing them to this country or shipping them across this country, and show us how sloppy this paperwork actually is. The idea that one check of a box next to the word fear can guarantee you entrance into the United States of America, can somehow get you on a flight, whether or not you have ID, can somehow get you through airport security, while the normal citizens have to wait and go through all that TSA screening, is patently absurd and ridiculous. It is a disaster waiting to happen, and we need to correct this. We need to solve this problem, but first step to solving it is actually revealing it to the general population. Again, I talked about this before, and I'll say it again. Under the Trump administration, at peak, we had 1.2 million asylum cases in the backlog. This included every case that was put in the backlog under Trump and the cases that were pending under the Obama administration. Right now, under the Biden administration, we have over 3 million cases in immigration courts backlog right now. We're seeing people get court dates for 2031, which means they're never going to be adjudicated out of this country, even if they're clearly and obviously committing asylum fraud. We need to show this to the American people. We need to present this to the public so that we can put pressure on our representatives to implement policy changes and stop these people from flooding to the border. The fact of the matter is, if you were living in one of these poor countries and you found out you could come to the United States, claim asylum fraudulently, were guaranteed not only 7 years of residency in the US, the ability to work, earn a better living and all that, but also guaranteed a flight to any destination across the country so you could have your first choice even within the United States, you would likely come here too. We have to change the incentive structure so that these people stop flooding the border. We need strong enforcement to deter future people from showing up in the massive numbers that they're doing right now. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you like this video, then show me by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social medias, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the craziness at the southern border. Till next time.